Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Obi's Parent Management Training videos. Permit me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Obayoza Adeleye, a board-certified pediatrician as well as a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist with over 20 years experience managing children's behavior. I see a series of children. As a pediatrician, you have to come in for your well child visits. And as a psychiatrist, I see a lot of kids with behavior problems. The main issue we have is children with outbursts, getting upset, getting angry, getting frustrated, and acting out on those emotions. So let's talk a little bit about why your child might get those extreme emotions and behaviors when they get upset. So every child has their own innate characteristics or temperament. Some kids are calm, not so easy to frustration or anger, while some kids get really big emotions. Think about it like a hurricane or a tornado of emotions, and they don't quite know what to do with it, so they might act out on these emotions by becoming verbally aggressive or at times physically aggressive. They might yell, scream, throw things, punch walls, or to a big extreme, punch people or get into a fight. Of course, everyone's an individual, and their temperament might be a mixture of genetics. You never know what characteristics you inherited from your parents. Your genes come into play. There's neurotransmitters that affect your behavior, as well as even your parents' temperament. If your parents tend to be angry or easily frustrated and yell, we model these behaviors. And our kids are mirrors of our own emotions and behaviors. So some of these characteristics or traits might be learned from their parents, as well as their environment. Unfortunately, parents with mental illness or other disorders might isolate themselves. So children who are not necessarily used to being around other people because of their own parents' anxiety might also be somewhat isolated. So it's very important that we understand how the environment affects our child's behavior. If it's overcrowded, or if there's some kids who are sensitive to sensory stimuli, too loud, too noisy, too many people, too much light, that could also trigger behaviors in our child. So this leads to a series of behaviors resulting from these emotions they're feeling. And some kids tend to be more oppositional or defiant. They also don't want to always follow whatever directions or commands their parents give. As well as a big one is when parents say, I say no, and my child flips out on me or has a bad attitude or acts out. So there's a series of actions that lead to this. It might be a parent gives a command, a child might ignore it, or they might delay to respond to it. The parent gives another command or repeats the same command, and the child might walk away, pretend not to hear you, or delay in responding to you. So if a child is taking more than 30 seconds to respond, and a parent has repeated the command up to about 3 to 4 times, it's inevitable that it ends up being the parents yelling. The child might yell in response. This might set off an argument, and if we do not break the cycle right there, with the child responding and carrying out the command, the child continues to refuse or delay, and usually there's a consequence. The child might get to be punished or sent to their room for timeout. They might be smacked, or some parents use the term here, whooped, and typically they do end up probably not completing the task or following through with the command. And in a way, the child has been rewarded because I got timed out or I got whooped, and pretty much that's where it all ended. So we can say that this behavior has been somewhat positively reinforced because I got what I wanted. I didn't have to follow that command. Unknowingly, the parent is actually reinforcing the behavior. So when it becomes a series of repeated actions, over years, over months, and we end up with a child who might be what we term oppositional and defiant. They get angry a lot, they're very irritable, they're easily frustrated, and they tend not to take the blame. They blame others for things going wrong, as well as they could be vindictive or spiteful. Another term you might use would be angry and resentful. So my goal is for us to break up or break the cycle. So if you're a parent and you're a child, we're here to make things better. Our goal would be to reduce the frequency of these outbursts or behaviors, as well as reduce the intensity of these behaviors. So thank you for listening to video 1. I hope to some extent you're understanding your child's behavior, as well as how these series of behaviors have resulted in maybe somewhat a little chaotic household. So we want to bring things to order, and we're not necessarily having you control your child. We want your child to understand how to work with those big emotions they feel and feel like they have some control over their emotions and over their behaviors. Thank you for listening to video 1, and see you at video 2.